What's going on, people? Ryan.Fagan, broker owner of Artie Real Estate, and I am also a real estate investor. I'm doing a property turnover at one of our properties that we did a BRRRR on. We also do property management, so this is a property that we managed. This tenant's lived at this property for over 4 years, and I just want to share with you some mistakes that we made with property management and how you can avoid some of these mistakes. All right, so the tenant lived here for 4 years and he kind of thought the property was his, and that's because we didn't set the right expectations. That wall he did himself, and then I don't know, when he was moving out, he just said, F it, and just, I don't know why there's holes. He drilled holes in the floor for some reason, and that's really sucks because there's not really a good way to fix that. There's some holes over here. He actually added a fence. He added a Tesla car charger out here as well. So, I mean, that is kind of cool, but I'd rather them not do that and not damage the property or try to do anything, because now we got to undo certain things. We have to skim coat the whole property. We'll have to paint, and it's pretty annoying. Like, what the heck is this? Why did he put a whole bunch of holes on the wall? It's like he ripped the TV mounts. Got holes in the ceiling again. Like, what the heck was he doing? Is it the biggest deal? No. But it still cost us money. And then, look, holes in the freaking vinyl floor. Like I was saying, setting expectations is probably the most important thing. Having a sheet that gives them all the rules with the property. Nothing is common sense with property management or renting out properties. You should act as if people don't know anything and tell them all the rules. Don't modify the property. Don't make any changes without authorization, and generally you don't want them to do that, because then they'll do hacky stuff in the house and then it'll cost you money later and it'll be damages. So don't normally like them to touch anything, paint, nothing. Don't do anything, because they want to paint the walls orange or something like that, and then they paint the trim and it gets all messed up. So don't allow tenants to do any of that stuff, and you should send that in an email. ChatGPT is really useful with like coming up with writing out rules and things like that, because you can get a really official looking document that communicates those things very well. The other important thing is doing 2 inspections a year. So basically every 6 months you should be inspecting the property, and you can put that in the lease that they agree to that, so that they know that you're constantly paying attention to the property. Because like for this wood wall that he put in there, we would have noticed that and we would have charged them at that point. And that sets the tone with tenants. They know not to mess around and try to get away with stuff like, oh, I'll just deal with it when I move out, or they'll just take my deposit, which is a very common attitude that tenants have, is like, oh, I'm not worried about my deposit, I'll just let them keep that. And hopefully you're collecting a big deposit. Here in New Jersey, we're capped at 150% of the monthly rent, and that's our deposit amount. We don't discount it, we don't make it cheaper, for this reason right here. You can't play around with tenants. You got to set your expectations. You got to be firm. You cannot allow exceptions. You got to stick to your guns with pretty much everything, or you'll end up with a problem. So we actually purchased this property in 2020 for, I believe we paid $80,000. We put $60,000 into it. It was renting for $1,900, but after this property turnover, you guys know the rents have gone up so much in the last 4 years. It probably rents for 22, 23, maybe even 24. Our mortgage on this property is $1,200. So what we did was a hard money in to do the rehab. All we needed was $30,000 to buy the property and do this project. We did a cash out refinance, which is part of the BRRRR process, and we got basically our money back plus like another $10,000, I believe, and we're generating cash flow on the property. So it was a pretty good deal. This property now is worth probably about $350,000. So we have close to $250,000 in equity. So it's been a good deal. After we spend the $4 grand to fix up the property, we could either rent it out or we could sell it and move some of that money to a bigger project, or whatever we might want to use that cash for in the future. So the BRRRR process is probably one of the best ways to do real estate. I wish I had been doing it earlier. We've done another property on Burr, but it's the best of both worlds. You do use leverage when I'm getting concerned about, and I'm actually thinking about doing less financing. I think that's a bit more of an advanced stage. If you're an early investor, one of the biggest benefits of real estate is being able to borrow a lot of money for an asset, and you gain control of an asset using leverage, which can help you, especially starting out. But once you start getting further along in the game, you do have to monitor how much debt that you're carrying for problems like COVID and a whole bunch of vacancies or any kind of problems that you might have. I do want to point out the fact that I don't recommend for normal real estate investors to do their own property management. One of the biggest benefits of rental real estate is that it's mostly passive, and it's pretty much 100% passive if you use property management. So if I'm using a property manager, which I have property in Texas and I'm located in New Jersey, I just get direct deposit. They handle everything else. When there's repairs, they take it out of the rent. Usually it's not coming out of my pocket. They get great pricing, and they're charging me 8% of the rent. Can't beat it for the passive aspect of it. So I really don't recommend you guys get into property management unless that's something that you're interested in. But yeah, guys, just wanted to show you guys some of the daily things that I do and share some information, share some knowledge of things that I'm actually doing, and show you actually what it looks like when you come out do a property turnover. So hopefully this information was helpful. If you have questions or if you have comments or opinions, I definitely like to hear them. I've been interacting with everybody in the comments, even the haters. It's all good. It's no problem. So I'll see you guys in the comments.